morning to everyone for this wonderful gathering for the Technical Fest STEM 24.0, which is a consecutive program conducted by the Department of Computer Science Engineering in association with Computer Society of India, Mumbai chapter. And this program is one of the initiative to develop in the part of a center of skill development, especially to know about in what way the learning aspects of faculty as well as the students will be enriched. So this platform will provide that kind of a knowledge aspects to make the faculty as well as students to exhibit their knowledge and improve their communication skills, and as well as the development of a prototype models. So all these kinds of activities will be go through in this particular program. So in today's session, we have taken about 4 topics on different aspects. One is taken by minds in the name of an interaction over union, which is a part of an machine learning and deep learning, and followed by we have 3 young minds of our department, Mr. Surya and Ms. Hemalata and Ms. Abhinaya, who is going to take care about of different aspects like Grails, which is one of an open web app framework, and followed by devOps, who is a combination of development as well as an operation, and 𝙤𝗶𝗴𝗏, which is one of a testing tool. So all these kinds of aspects are going to discuss in this particular STEM program. So on behalf of Department of Computer Science Engineering, I take immense pleasure to welcome our dynamic Vice Chairman, Engineer E.V. Kumaran sir, our respected Registrar, Dr. R. Sathyaseelan sir, and our beloved and principal, our respected principal, Dr. R. Ravichandran sir, and all our faculties and students to make this program to be a success one. I am glad to say that in forthcoming month, we are going to reach about the 25th version of the STEM program, which will have a good inauguration session will be making on the 25th. So I just thank all the students, those who have been part of this particular program, starting from the initiative of this program, especially in the pandemic situation of COVID-19. And consecutively, we are making this program to be the part. So good morning to everyone. Let I take my session. So in today's session, we have one interesting topic, what we played in the childhood, but we are going to take the childhood problem to be one of an learning with the name of mission as well as the deep learning actually. So the background of this particular topic, generally we will call it as a computer vision, which is a part of which is a field of an artificial intelligence, which enables a computer system to derive meaningful information from digital images, or it may be a video or any visual inputs, and which will take actions or make recommendation based on the information. So the concept of computer vision is generally based on the teaching computers to the process on images at pixel levels, and we can understand in what way the pixels are evaluated. So technically, if I want to speak, the missions attempts to retrieve the visual information and interrupt the results through the special software algorithms. So what is a common system which is being available at the background of computer vision? So there is 3 kinds of aspects will be taken with the name of a computer vision. One is object classification, and second one is object identification, and third one is object tracking. So all these 3 aspects are the background of the computer vision, and which what we are going to call it the topic of today's topic, which what we call as an intersection over union, which where you can able to learn or heard the topic, which is on mathematical derivations to be at the background of intersections or union, like whatever we studied in maths actually. So before going to the topic, let I introduce myself. I am Dr. M. Jothish Kumar, who is an head of Department of Computer Science and candidate for the program. So what are the background supports are needed before going to study about the intersection over union? That is very important actually. So one basic thing we want to know about object detection, because now presently in all the social medias or in maybe all kind of developments of learning, especially related to an artificial intelligence, the object detection is make one of a crucial part that all the students as well as the faculties are trying with different data sets actually. So when you take about the background support, there are 3 kinds of background supports as we needed. One is an artificial intelligence, second one is in data science, and the third one which we will taken with the name of a machine learning as well as a deep learning. So all these 3 kinds of aspects will be taken with the name of an internet over the things, and as well as the topic what we today taken about the name known as an interaction over union actually. So what are the prerequisites we needed before we are going to this particular program? So we want to know about a better knowledge on Jupyter Notebooks. We want to have a knowledge on Google Colabs, and we want to have a knowledge on Python language. That's the basic kinds of commands is needed for that. and followed by we want to know about Python libraries, especially the NumPy as well as the OpenCV. So all these things are to be needed, especially when I talk about Google Colab. It is one of the product of the Google research, which allows anybody to write and execute the Python code through the browser, and it is especially well suited for the machine learning, data analysis, and the educations. And libraries are very important when you go for integration with data sets, and we are running over in the platform of Google Colab, which is one of the part of a cloud environment actually. And we need a framework, because framework is very important once if you go for the development of a web application. So we have one open source web frameworks. You want to have a little bit of knowledge, that is a PyTorch. So these are all the prerequisites which is being needed, out of which the crucially which you can concentration on Google Colab, that is a second. And the third one, you want to have some basic knowledge with the Python, the data types, what we called as an immutable and immutable skills. And followed by, we want to have at least any one of the library like OpenCV or NumPy, any one of the library, if you know about little bit of a knowledge with data sets to be input, we can able to thrive over in the artificial intelligence, basically in the name of machine learning as well as the deep learning actually. So whenever you take about object detection, where it is a computer vision technique that works to identify and locate the objects with an image, or it may be a video. So object detections, especially taken in the aspects like it broken into the machine learning based approaches and deep learning based approaches, where it is commonly confused with an image recognition, because there are two kinds of aspects we will call it. One is an object detection as well as an image recognition actually. So when I take about an object detection, that may be what the aspects of information that we can able to take, like when you take an image, that we will draw it over some kind of rectangles for the image recognition. But that is not the only aspects that we can concentrate on an image, that we will see different kinds of analysis in future slides actually. So what is intersection over union? This is one of an aspect. So it is a number of quantifiers, the degree of an overlap between the two boxes. So the two boxes represent about the set of images that you could take, and two technical terms are you want to well known if you want to take it about some kind of a knowledge on intersection over union. One is ground truth and second one is in prediction. The ground truth represent, for example, when you're taking about any image, what is the actual representation of the image or actual coordination of the image which is started to know about. For example, when you draw in any kind of a diagram in a paint or whatever it may be, you will have some kind of coordinates like x1, y1 and x2, y2. So this is the basic level of knowledge you needed, that is the ground truth. For example, when I take about an object like a ball, so we know what is the exact the curve or the exact the information or the exact x1, y1 which is needed to know about that it is a ball or any other object. And prediction region, the prediction region will change, because when you go for the live streamings, there is a two different challenges available. For example, when you see the cattle, in front of the cattle, if you put over the camera, then the using a machine learning or deep learning, you can able to analyze that it is a cattle. Let me put a challenge that you make your camera to be at the top of the cattle. Okay, so that particular moment of time, the both width and heights are changed, and as well as the object levels are not being like a rectangle. The objects will be like a natural curves. So that particular moment of time, you'll get more kind of prediction knowledge is needed. So in that situation, intersection over union will take that priority. So what kind of values that we can able to avail for the intersection over union instead of taking over only the object identification? So the probability will be taken into 0 to 1, that is aspects we taken, where 0 means no overlap and 1 means there is a perfect overlap is being available. And you can see about the diagrammatical representation which I given over in the right hand side bottom. That is the formula which we applied is area of overlap divided by the area of union. So what is the exact overlap between one image as well as another image, and followed by the union about the complete image which has been satisfied. So when there is an overlap between one image as well as another image, how we can able to count it? For example, if it is a single image, we will able to tell over like an object detection. But when you go for segmentation, for example, if 5 to 6 people are standing one behind and one another, how you can able to tell there are 5 members are standing or 10 people are being available? So there is some kind of overlapping is available between one object as well as another object. So in that situation, we need a conceptual. That conceptual is called as an interaction or intersection over union. That we have some kind of values also I given over in the left hand side, that intersection over union will score about greater than a 0.5, which is normally considered as a good prediction. that we can come to the conclusion that this is happening because of this actually. And what we do use, or what we want to use it in case of an intersection over union. So the reality, what I just told about, you want to take an X and Y coordinates of the predicted bounding boxes, that X actually matches the ground width bounding boxes actually. So when you are evaluating this particular value, you can see it's about, at the bottom I given three level of images, like in what way the predictions are made. Like for example, when you take about the predictions will be taken about ground truth as well as the prediction. So that is the green will represent about the ground truth, and as well as the red will represent about the prediction, what actually it is happening. So in that you can able to see some kind of values we are taking based on the formula, like whatever the previous slide we just made it, like area of overlap divided by area of union, where the first images, the overlapping between one and another one, which is 0.4, which is not been appreciably related to 0.5. So we cannot able to come to the conclusion that the object, what you expected or what object is actually available is a right object or not. So that is the one aspect. And second one is you can see 0.7, which has been merely greater than the value of 0.5. So I can able to come to the conclusion that this object definitely will be like this, or definitely this is a part of this object. But when you have 0.9, that is the probability of 1 near to the probability of 1, that we will call it as an excellent. So what is the algorithm behind the intersection over union? That is very important actually. The first thing is you want to know about the models, data sets, and you want to get the prediction on the models. And you can compare that model with the predicted bounding boxes. That's what I just told. We can take it three aspects. One is ground truth and prediction. Based on that, you can able to identify the intersection over union. And you can calculate the area of overlap and as well as the area of union between this. And based on that, obtain the value and repeat the above steps, whatever I showed about to know about the images. And this mathematical calculation will be carried out about on three aspects, like whether it is an positive or negative, that what we called as a truth positive, truth negative, false positive, and false negative, that we will see in future. And how the calculations are made in intersection over union. For example, you can take this diagram, that in the diagram we have two images which having overlapping with one another. The basic level of understanding on this particular diagrammatical representation, as like what I explained in the previous slide, you can take x1, y1 and x2, y2. So based on this overlapping, we have told that the intersection over union will be taken with the formula of area of overlap divided by the area of union. So what is the area of overlap, which has been made as 25, and what is the area of red bounding boxes, which what we called as in prediction, and area of green bounding boxes, which all as ground truth actually. So all this contains to be taken over the formula which has been applied over on the particular aspects. You can able to get over 0.14, which is not an appreciable intersection over union. So we cannot able to predict that the object is a right object or not. So that is why we just taken the threshold value. So 0.5 will be taken as a threshold value to identify this particular aspects. And what are the challenges in intersection over union? You can see the object which is available in left hand side, where there are multiple balloons are available. So I want to know about the segregation of these balloons, how many balloons have been available, because there is not the transparent balloon is been available, because when one balloon is been overlapped with another balloon, then now we can able to predict that it is a balloon. So that is the challenge we taken. So in this challenge, what kind of technique is applied? That's what we taken today, the topic known as an intersection over union actually. So in this manner, we have two kinds of availability. One is true positive and as well as a false negative. So if it is true positive, that it is observed that the prediction target mask, which what the intersection over union can score, which exceed the predefined threshold. The predefined threshold value, which already I told as a 0.5 actually, which is made it over here. So when there is an overlapping is available, even though the overlapping is available, the intersection over union will give the threshold value. That threshold value will use a segmentation technique and able to identify how many balloons are being available in the given images. That where you can see about there are 7 balloons are being available actually. So this kind of images and this kind of, for example, when you go for crowd counting system, the peoples are being not to be available in the what we can, the peoples are overlapped actually. So when the peoples are overlapped, in what way we can able to identification the prediction? The people can have a cat, the people can have any other objects. So all this kind of predictions to be made with some kind of threshold value. In that situation, we use a technique, that is the concept behind that particular one, which what the topic today we called as an intersection over union actually. And these are all the qualitative analysis of the prediction that you can see about at the bottom side. You can see what is the ground truth and what is the predicted mask, and in what way the analysis are being made between one and another. That the IOU 0.95, which is taken as a prediction, is good. And especially when you come to the last one, the IOE is being 0.2 or 0. So that is not the right prediction to be carried over. So this kind of predictions are made in the IOU. So I'm just going to take one simple demo that you can see about at the left-hand side. There is a kite available with two kinds of representation. That blue is for the prediction, that what we called as an prediction value, and red is for the ground truth. So that is a ground truth. That ground truth represents that is the actual image what is available. But when the kite is been moving, this is the ground truth value, which what we already get it from the data sets and the prediction we carried out. So using this, we can able to identify whether I can able to identify the object kite is available or not. Okay, so what I'm going to do over in the sense, I'm going to show you some kind of sample code which I given over here, that is import torch. So import torch is one of the major aspects of an the package, which is consists about the popular data sets and model architectures and common image transformations for computer visions, all to be available in the imported torch, which will majorly concentrate on box of IOU. That is a very important aspects of an function, which will take two kinds of things like ground truth as well as a prediction. So these two things will be taken in the aspects of the kite, what we the intersection or union is going to take in. So when you take about Google Colab, that especially I just taken about the Google Colab, I just told to you to take it about the Google Colab. So when I take it to run over this particular information, that you can able to see over whatever the imported files I've been carried out, and followed by there is a two kinds of a learning techniques and two kinds of a formula which is being needed over while identifying the intersection over union. One is ground truth as well as a prediction. So this is the values which we taken over it. And while I've been running this particular value to know about whether the object is being right or not, I'm getting an IOE value of 0.64. So I can able to come to the conclusion what the prediction I needed for the kite is being right from the value of 0.64, because I just spread the threshold value is 0.5, but I'm getting the value of 0.6 actually. So I can able to come to the conclusion what the object really I want to recognize, that the kite is being giving an object, that this object is a kite. So this is the one of a basic level of work which I done it over it. You can apply this for the video. You can apply this for the multiple images, like whatever the image, like the left hand side, the balloon is have. So this is one of an analysis that you can do it. But when you want to have the basic analysis like machine learning and deep learning, you want to have the basic truth actually. So thank you for making this part of this particular program. And for more kind of activities, you go and visit arunai.org/STEM program, and making this opportunity and making it in further activities, we will see more kind of activities on this particular STEM program. And now I welcome the next participant to take over the session.
Respected teachers and my friends and everyone, good morning to you all. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Introducing myself, I am Surya from CSE department, final year. Today we are going to see about the topics: what is devs and what is secops. So before what is devsecops, we have to see what is a dev for better understanding, because devsecops is dev. So let us see DevOps. DevOps is a combination of development and operations. DevOps is a set of practices or methodology that combines software development and IT operations to shorten the system development cycle or product development cycle and provide continuous delivery with high software quality. The principles which are used are followed in the DevOps, or the environments which the test and development or take place are similar to the production. The deployment and the building of software needs to be done frequently. The quality should be principles should be in the DevOps methodology. The method and process of DevOps. The various steps involved in DevOps are the plan, which contains the task and schedules. Code, which contains the code development, code review, code build, continuous integration tools, version control tools, or contains build status. Test, continuous integration tool that provides feedback on business risk, determine performance, and test cases. Package, artifact repository, application pre-deployment staging. These are the stages which include in step package, release approvals and the automations which are contained in the release step, and operate, infrastructure installation, infrastructure changes, infrastructure configuration and management, security check, service deployment, and so on, or in the operate state. Monitor, service performance monitoring, log monitoring, end user experience, and incident management are in the steps of monitor. So why we need to adopt DevOps methodology? DevOps adoption entails building a set of capabilities across various functions in the organization in terms of people's process and tools. This will help IT or the particular company to stay agile and deliver at the speed which the business demands. It also provides security and the rate of frequency of the productions. So it is very useful than the normal methodologies. Practices involved in DevOps: configuration management, continuous integration, automated testing, infrastructure as code, continuous delivery, continuous deployment, and continuous monitoring. So let's see one by one in briefly. So what is configuration management? Configuration management is the practice of controlling and managing the changes to the software using version control in a standard and repeatable way. It is nothing but it is updates. So whenever we face issues, we will configure and update the versions using version 1.2, 2.2, that like continuous integration. Continuous integration is a practice that requires developers to integrate code into a shared repository, often and obtain rapid feedback on its success during active development. This is done as developers finish a specific piece of code and it successfully passes the unit testing. After unit testing, you will go to this continuous integration to check the code. Automated testing, the practice of using specialized software to control the of and the component of results. These tests are actually run during the config and build as well as in the ad hoc manner when needed. This is the automation, test automation pyramid, unit level automation, and API testing, and at last, at top of the is UI. Infrastructure as code. IAC, infrastructure as code, is used to define the code that when executed, I can stand up an entire physical or virtual environment, including computing and networking infrastructure. These are the some practices. This as code, some which are used in the DevOps: Chef, Terraform, Stack, CF Engine, Puppet, and Ansible. So next, continuous delivery. The practice of making every change to the source code ready for a production release as soon as automated testing, automatically building and editing. So continuous delivery, which means whenever the change is made into the code, it will be deployed as soon as possible. So the continuous delivery, which ensures the speed or rate of the speed of the production. Continuous deployment, that is it's same as the continuous deployment of the software product after the automated production is done. Continuous monitoring. Continuous monitoring is essential. Continuous monitoring is the practice of proactively monitoring and alerting, taking action in key areas to give team visibility into the health of application in the production environment. What are the advantages? The advantages when we use DevOps are the environment we got a stabilized environment. The product releases velocity or frequency is increased. The defects are reduced very much. The process are thoroughly analyzed so we can improve each time. Shorter development cycle so it saves times. So DevSecOps is nothing but it's a updated version of the DevOps. It's derived from the DevOps. DevOps we have development on the operations only, but in this DevSecOps we integrated security into this life cycle, to the entire life cycle. DevSecOps is a combination of development, security, and operations. It's an approach to the cultural automation and platform design that integrates security as a shared responsibility throughout the entire IT lifecycle or the product lifecycle. It is basically based on the security. So working of the DevSecOps methods need development on the operations team to do more than just collaborate. Security team also need to join in at the early stage of the iteration to ensure overall software security from the start phase to the end phase. So we have the full secure process life cycle. We need to think about the infrastructure and application security from start to the end. How DevSecOps differ from the DevOps? DevSecOps is evolved as stated in startingly. DevSecOps has evolved from the DevOps as teams have realized that the DevOps model didn't sufficiently address the security concerns. Rather than retrofitting security into the build, DevSecOps emerged as an approach to incorporate the management of the security prior to all through the development cycle. In DevOps and DevSecOps, the major difference is the security. The security will throughout the entire life cycle in the DevSecOps. Companies which are using DevOps are Adobe Photoshop and various kinds of Adobes. Transition takes place 5 years ago. 5 years ago, they start to shift their face into an DevOps. So their applications are cloud-based model. Amazon has a reputation for stunning DevOps. They switched to DevOps by 2010 by changing the physical servers into AWS, Amazon Web Services. Facebook has helped to transform the way we think of an app creation. Many of these concepts it embraced early on, including code ownership, gradual improvements, automations, and continuous deployments. Netflix, it changed DevOps during 2015. Over 100 million of users there was managed by Netflix by the DevOps methods. NASA, yes, it is NASA. DevOps helped NASA scientists to analyze the data from the Mars rover Curiosity. NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab needed real-time analysis of millions of telemetry data points obtained daily from the Curiosity. Building portable containerized data systems and tools for the continuous deployment enables system engineers and data scientists to rapidly create, analyze, and share their visualization and algorithms. Data can be stored and processed via AWS services and APIs, scalable APIs. Companies using DevSecOps. Microsoft. DevSecOps combines GitHub and Azure products and services to help DevOps and DevSecOps teams to collaborate in building more secure apps in the Microsoft. Verizon is an electronic company. Verizon shifted DevSecOps to improve the security towards its products. Pokemon Go is a gaming application. It's come under 2016. So it adapted DevSecOps to protect the user data. Conclusion: the problem is that traditional DevOps would treat security largely as an afterthought. After completion of the product, only they thought about the security. But in DevSecOps, the security is integrated as a life cycle. So applying tests and changes prior to the point of release. It may be at the DevOps, they at the point of release they only thought the security. So it is kind of critical. It may or may not be situation. But in devsecops, the security is a major. So devsecops is better than DevOps. Thank you one and all for this precious opportunity and valuable time. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good morning to one and all present over here. Welcome to the Technical Phase STEM 24.0. Today we are going to see about on topic Grails. Let I introduce myself. I am 𝙤𝙪𝙧𝙨 from final year CSE. These are the listed topics that we discuss in the today's class. Let's see one by one. Introduction. Grails is an open source web application framework used the Groovy programming language. It builds on these concepts and dramatically reduces the complexity of building web applications on the Java platform. It is meant to be a self-contained web or database application in every possible sense, to solve as many pieces of web development puzzle through the core technology and its associated plugins included out the box. History of Grails. Work began in July 2005 with the 0.1 release on March 29, 2006. Graham Rocher is project head and creator of Grails framework. Grails is made by G21, later acquired by SpringSource. It developed due to need of RAD framework for Java programmer community like Ruby on Rails in Ruby programmer community. It was previously known as Groovy on Rails. In March 2006, that name was dropped in response to a request by 𝙤𝙪𝙧𝙨, founder of the Ruby on Rails framework. Decomposing Grails. First, we make a preparation and then create a configure Grails web application. Then create a Grails domain class and generate Grails controllers and views. Finally, run and test Grails CRUD web application. Model View Controller, which is a software architectural pattern. First thing, model. Data models are defined using what are called domain classes, which you could have already learned by the name. Grails come with a persistence manager based on Hibernate called 𝐺𝗠, which manages entities types titles and provides default searching methods. Every operation performed over a domain class will be translated by Hibernate into any necessary SQL query to reflect performed operation in database. All domain classes of our application are generated in the domain folder within our application folder structure. For example, a customer object will retrieve the customer information from the database. We can manipulate it and update the data back to the database or use it to render data. View. Views are developed using Groovy Server Pages GSP, which is a simplified JSP version allowing to place expressions within HTML code and use JSTL-like tags. When our application is running, we can decide which view should be processed and sent to the client by means of render method in the controllers, or we can let Grails to use a default view. For example, the customer view will include all the UI components such as text boxes, drop-downs, etc. that the final user interacts with. And then controller. Controllers are the components responsible for handling incoming client requests, managing execution of business logic, and updating the view so the user can know the final status of the data model upon the execution of the action. Grails will identify upon each HTTP request which control it should all based on the definition set. Example, the customer controller will handle all the interactions and input from the customer view and update database using customer model. The same controller will be used to view the customer data. 𝐺𝗠. It is the data access toolkit used by Grails and provides a rich set of APIs for accessing relational and non-relational data, including implementations for Hibernate, Cassandra, and an in-memory concurrent hash map for testing. It is an object relational mapping implementation. It simplifies configuration through the conventions. Plugins. By exposing a number of extension points that let extend anything from command line interface to the runtime configuration engine, Grails can be customized to suit almost any needs. Extending the platform may sound complicated, but plugins can range from trivially simple to incredibly powerful. Plugin typically brings the idioms of convention over configuration. For example, Spring Security, JMS, Spring WS. Testing on Grails. It has the capability of automated testing. It provides many ways to making testing easier, from low-level unit testing to high-level functional testing. First thing, unit testing. Testing the individual methods or blocks of code without consideration for surrounding infrastructure. It can run without the presence of physical resources that involve input-output such as databases, socket connections, or files. Integration test. It has full access to the Grails environment within the test. Functional test. It is useful for end-to-end testing scenarios, making HTTP requests against the running application and verifying resultant behavior. System architecture. Based on the popular and robust Java frameworks like Spring MVC, Spring Boot, and Hibernate, Grails prides itself as a robust Java framework that uses Groovy as its binding language. Web application delivery couldn't have been better with robust JVM and a powerful plugin system. This system is agile and makes web app development a breeze. Functionalities such as multi-threading, networking, distributed computing, cryptography, and database persistence are all at my disposal using this framework. The delivery time will be optimal. In Grails, you don't need to create one by one for each controller and view. Just using a single command in the Grails interactive console, we will generate all required controllers and views, including their unit testing. Type these commands in the Grails interactive console to generate all controllers and views. Generate all com.𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤. Now you can have each controller and views for team and player domain. Because we are using a string for the logo field image URL, we need to modify the show team view to show the logo image. Open and edit src Grails app views team show.jsp. They modify to be display at except logo. A line after that to display the units from the URL of logo data. Then run and test Grails CRUD web application still in Grails interactive console. We will run the Grails application from there. You don't need to run the database because it's already embedded in the Grails application. The commands to run app, open your favorite browser and you will see this Grails web application. advantages. It eliminates much of the configuration effort typically required in building robust web applications. The efficiency and the precision of Grails code means faster development with fewer bugs and less code. As an open source framework, Grails can be broadly adapted and used with no vendor locking contracts, license management, or runtime licensing fees. If you are dealing with a small or medium-sized project, Grails is ideal for you. Less CSS framework plugins, hence it's easier to manage the CSS. Conclusion. Grails is an open source project with an active community, and we rely heavily on that community to help make Grails better. And then 𝙤𝙬𝙳 is a powerful tool that leverages Hibernate strings but lowering its complexity. Convention open configuration speeds up development by reducing glue and framework code. One of these is by writing useful plugins and making them publicly available. Thank you.
Good morning to one and all who are present here. Thanks for giving me a precious opportunity. I'm Arunai. I'm pursuing my third year computer science and engineering. Let me share you about the project Cucumber and let's see how it works and how it is useful in the real life. Now I will move to the slide. Table of content. It is nothing but it is the key point of the project Cucumber. That what are the topics we will see in this project. The topics are introduction, what is Cucumber, TDD, it is the stands for test driven development, BDD, it means behavior driven development, jerkin, step definition, system architecture, demo, advantage, and finally the conclusion. Let us see the next slide, introduction. The project Cucumber framework was originally written in Ruby language, but nowadays supports a variety of programming language. It is an automation project that it implements the BDD, behavior driven development method. BDD is a development methodology that commands a result of another process called TDD, test driven development, a process mostly from the agile world. The main idea of BDD methodology is to define test or actions in the product of business process, written by project manager or analyst or testers or any type of manager that has some sort of technical skills. We will move to the next slide. What is Cucumber? Cucumber is used to execute automated acceptance test or written in Jerkin language. Jerkin is a domain-specific language for behavior descriptions. Jerkin is business readable. Cucumber test automation makes use of two important files. One is feature file and another one is step definition file. Feature file contains code written in Jerkin, plain English text, and step definition file contains actual code written by the developer. Cucumber acts as a bridge between following teams. One is business analyst and software engineers. Second one is manual and automation testers, and the final one is manual testers and developers. Cucumbers provide compatibility with popular software platforms, Selenium, Water, Ruby, and other popular platforms. Now we are going to see the slide TDD. TDD is nothing but it is the test-driven development. It is an iterative development process. Each iteration starts with a set of tests written for a new piece of functionality. These tests are supported to fail during the start of iteration, as there will be no application code corresponding to the test. The benefits of TDD are unit test proves that the code actually works, refactoring errors, improving the design of the code, low-level regression test showed, test first reduce the cost of the bugs. We will move to the next slide, BDD. BDD is the behavior-driven development. It is an extension of TDD. Like in test-driven development, in behavior-driven development also, we write test first and add application code. BDD is driven by business value. Extends test to driven development by utilizing natural language that non-technical stakeholder can understand. Collaboration between business stakeholder, business analyst, QA team and developers. Shifting from thinking in test to thinking in behavior. Let me move to the next slide, Jerkin. Jerkin is a business readable language which helps you to describe business behavior without going into details of implementation. It uses plain language to describe use cases and allows to remove logic details from behavior test. The test is Jerkin language acts as a documentation and skeleton of your automated test. The script serves two primary purposes. One is document user scenarios and another one is writing an automated test. Now we are going to see the slide step definition. A step definition is a Java method, Kotlin function, scalar function, JavaScript function, Ruby block with an expression that links into one or more Jerkin steps. Step definition connect Jerkin steps to programming code. A step definition carries out the action that should be performed by the step. So, step definitions are to write the specification to the implementation. When Cucumber executes a Jerkin step in a scenario, it will look for a matching step definition to execute. Now we are going to see the slide system architecture. The scenario are written based on the expected behavior of the software and it is tested to check if it matches set scenarios. The first step of system architecture is describe behavior. Here the behavior is described in the state. The next state is write step definition. It is the second state. The step definitions are take place in this step. Third step is run and wait. There are 5 steps in the system architecture. Fourth one is write code to make steps pause. The fifth state is run and pause and it is the final state of the system architecture. Now I would like to share the demo video.
Then go to help section and click Eclipse Markup. You will find many frameworks in Eclipse Markup. You need to search in this. I'll just type Cucumber and enter. It's shown Eclipse plugin. I already installed it in the system, so I don't need to install it again. We created the network structure for the Cucumber project. This is main class. We type run with Cucumber.class and it will automatically suggest you to input some packages and it automatically input Cucumber features. In that, we want to write scenario like this. If I want to press anything on this website by using the Cucumber project, we will be on it. Run it by run as and Cucumber feature. Then come to Eclipse. It shows some missing steps. So we need to copy and paste it on step definition class. Then type 𝗀𝗵𝗴𝗶 and give any name to your variable like button3 equal driver.findElephant. By it show some export, class name, ID name. Now we are going to use export. To get export from this, go to that site. we are going to do how to click this continue button by using the Cucumber project. We need to inspect this page, select continue. Go to copy export, then paste it on its export. Now we are going to run this in main class Java, in test runner. Yes, it will automatically click the continue button. And if you want to film all of this by using Cucumber, just go to Cucumber feature. And then click when you want to type full name, and I will enter full name like this. And then go to run as Cucumber feature, and then copy the code from the error and paste it onto the definition.
Now we are going to see the slight advantages. Intuitive way to express requirements in human readable form, translating business requirements into testable scenarios, multi-language support. Cucumber support different languages like Java.NET and Ruby. It allows the test script to be written without knowing any code. It allows the involvement of non-programmers as well. Due to simple test script architecture, Cucumber provides code reusability. The role of Cucumber in Agile projects. The facility of code reusability. Now we are going to see the last slide conclusion. In last Selenium tutorial, we introduced you to Selenium Grid, which is a distributed test execution environment to spread up the execution of your test pass. Cucumber is the most favorite tool for many projects as it is easy to understand, readable, and contains business facility. Using the Cucumber framework is a good idea since it allows functional validation in an easy understandable format. It serves the purpose of end-to-end test framework unlike other tools. Now at the end of this comprehensive Selenium training series, we are learning advanced Selenium testing and related concept. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for giving me a wonderful opportunity for participating in this interesting and inspiring STEM program. Thanks a lot.